data, when you move it to actionable insights, then really you can either make more revenue, more money, or you can save money as well. So both, this is the way how can we handle data. I would like to ask the panelists here with me, please just you can introduce yourself quickly about yourself and your organization, and then we can take it forward. Anyone can start.
Okay, I will then. Mohamed, hi, and hi everybody. Maybe you've seen my presentation before, so you have heard my introduction. Very quickly, my name is Olivier Penel. I work for SAS. I'm a data analytics advisor, and I work with customers across EMEA to help our customers to maximize the value they are getting from their analytics investments.
Thank you, Oliver.
Okay. I'll continue then. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexander Mitlevich. I'm a Director of Data Intelligence at Sira Group. And basically, I'm tackling all the tactical business analysis and insights for all business units and corporate functions in the group. I've been working here for the past almost 3 years, and been in the travel industry for the last 6 years, and before that, coming from a financial services background.
That's great.
And maybe I can go next. I'm Jamil Del Rosario, currently head of group data and analytics for Lafarge Holcim, based off in the corporate headquarters of Lafarge Holcim in Switzerland. Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, shall I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Abdullah.
Yeah, my name is Abdullah Heb. I'm the head of analytics management in SCC. We have started this corporate analytics and data since 2015. So we are, 5 years in this domain.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Sudarshan Sheshadri here. I'm from Express Money. I head analytics and strategy for Express Money. And I've been in the financial services business for the last 20 years, largely in the same or similar kind of roles. And currently, one of the biggest roles that I play is to help set up the entire data analytics organization for the company.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sudarshan. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we'll start. Let us, start with Abdullah. I think people talk about what should be operating model or a business model, or to build a successful actionable insight, or some dimensions, parameters, some strategy you have to take to build this actionable insight. What did you do at STC, and what's your views on this?
Thank you, Mohammed, for the good question. I think I want to summarize. We are talking here about actionable insights. So
yes.
I see that we already covered, during the presentations today, lots of aspects of that. The main pillars that I would like to highlight here is 3 main pillars. The first one, which is data, and then technology, then people. So from experience, the data, the right data should be in place. So in terms of either quality or even the timely. So sometimes, even if you have the right data warehouse or big data or data lake in place, you can't build the right insights or take the actionable insights. I will give you an example. So one time we have developed for to reduce the trouble tickets. And we have developed a very robust model. The accuracy was very high. It was around, around 80. However, when it comes to productionization, we stuck before we don't have the real time in place, real-time data. So we built the right model based on historical data, but when it comes to productionization, it failed because we didn't take the time aspect in our consideration. So that's why it's when we say data, all data that should be arrived at the right time. The second aspect, which is the technology. So technology, you should have the right technology in place. When I say right, I like the, someone mentioned the return on investment. So do not over-invest. If you don't need that, the GPU technology, you don't need it. So don't have GPU technology. It's not everything about deep learning. So things can be solved, even sometimes it's descriptive, can cover more on rule-based. So just you should have the right technology in place that would help you to build the right insights. And when we say actionable insights, it means that you can take the right actions in place. The right as the third dimension that I would like to highlight, which is very important and more important than technology and data, which is a people side. So when it comes to people, you should have the right people working for you, either from data scientist perspective or data engineers or whoever, that be according to your teaming that you are developing here. And in addition to that, from experience, we went through different iterations with different type of teaming here. And the most crucial point is to have a kind of, we call it analytics managers. Those analytics managers will work like, a connection between you and your clients, because you should have the business sense when you develop, the analytics insights. So this is very important as well, that you have the right people that have the know-how and the business sense with your team, within the technology team that is built around, chief data officer or whatever naming you would like to choose. When it comes to the operating model, which is very important, we went through different type of operating models since the 5 years. And we moved from one operating model to another. The main thing, as I said, that it should be built around two main pillars, which is analytics, ops, and agile methodology. So those two concepts should be within the analytics development team and should be built inside the development team. So then they will know how to develop and also continue development. You can't just only develop a model and then forget it. It's not like any other product. Models are changed, data changed. So should go through those kind of continuous improvement. And that's why when you build your your methodology, your operating model should start from the even ideation and define. And this, when I say that ideation and define, this is also critical role within the team, because when you ideate the right ideas and have the right team that can generate the right ideas for you, you will be able to develop actionable insights at all levels, even at CEO level. So those kind of connection between you and business is critical to build this, define, and ideate this role. The second thing, which is when it comes to data science and technology, so then you need to have the right data engineering and data science working together closely to build the right insights, and then to write the right analytics ops system and technology that would help you to deploy those models. I heard the idea that most of the developed analytics insights and model are not productionized, and this is an issue because usually it's always disconnected. We don't have the right analytics ops in place, and this is crucial. If you want to deploy, if you want to be connected to business, you should have the right technology in place around this operating model or analytics ops model that would help you to continue the improvement of those models. It's over to you, Mohammed.
Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot, Abdullah. No, that's great. Thanks a lot. I could see, you stress on a point, which is like, the link between the technology and data team and the business is crucial here. I call it sometimes business solution team, the team which will understand business as well as understand technology and data, right? Because this is very important for you to understand what the business is looking for and able to take this into, real insights which can bring business at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly. And this is, to be honest, it was like a fascinating cross technology unit, because usually we don't have that concept in place. Usually technology is always disconnected, and that's why they work in a kind of waterfall approach, which is the old model. If you want to work in agile model,
that's fine. Hello.
Can you hear me, Mohammed?
Can you hear me, Abdullah? I think we'll move to the next. It's okay. I think Abdullah, it's very, very, interesting thoughts and very comprehensive, actually. Would like to go to Jamil now and ask Jamil, we always talk about, being a data-driven organization, and it's everybody having this nice and good slogan, actually. So what do you think about, how can we achieve or to become a data-driven organization?
Thank you, Mohammed. So first of all, Abdullah has mentioned a lot of the points on his answer a while ago. I mean, I can only repeat the three components that he mentioned: people, process, and technology. I mean, becoming a data-driven organization is not just a data and analytics challenge, right? It's rather a holistic organizational challenge. So in my view, you need to have three things. So the three things that I mentioned: first of all, the right processes that enable you to do business efficiently. Without that, then the business is gone. Second, proper data analytics solutions that enable and support your business decision making. And third, and most importantly, as Abdullah mentioned as well, people with the right skills, the right knowledge, and the right mindset to operate these analytic solutions and make data-driven decisions in order to steer the organization in the right direction. So to go into one of the points to the first point on, it's important to have business processes which are lean, rational, and goal-oriented. Otherwise, they're irrelevant and should be improved or removed. So that's the first point. On the second point, data analytics solutions should have clean data and proper design, and most importantly, actionable insights. Don't forget, data analytics is not an independent entity. It exists within the business context, and it should be tightly integrated and embedded in daily business decisions while bringing transparency to business metrics and key performance indicators. On the third point, and this is very close to my heart because it's very important, people will be the ones using the data analytics solutions and making the business decisions. So they need to be capable of doing both properly. Imagine some people have been doing the same thing for 20 years, and suddenly one day some consultant, you ask them, hey, you should analytic dashboards to make decisions. All of a sudden, that's not going to be easy. Don't ever underestimate the human component of digital transformation. And for that, change management and training become very important here as they deal with the people side of change. To close, ultimately, data analytics will generate actionable insights from data, but it will be people who will be the ones to finally transform those insights into actions. Thank you.
So Abdullah is with us. If he clicks the camera on, he will join back to the room.
Okay, that's great. Jamil, it's very interesting. I think you are the second one, which I think I'm very appreciating to see this one. You are emphasized very much on people. And I think people think when we talk about data analytics and so on, and AI, and how can we bring it to actual insight, people think that it's all machines, an algorithm only. But I think the thing you're discussing, you stressed on, and as well as Abdullah, people behind this one. You have to have the ability to decide if this algorithm is right for me or not. It's not only machine.
Absolutely. I mean, they will be the operators of analytics, and they will be the ones to make the decisions. So they need to be equipped how to do that. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Very interesting. We'll move to Sudarshan. Data literacy, it's an issue really here. Is data the responsibility of one, the BI team or the advanced analytics team, or it is the entire organization? I think Jamil also touched on this. How do you address this one? Because even our business people, our operational people always talk about, okay, data, big data, insights, AI, all of this, but still, I think the data literacy is there, because they think sometimes you think it's all IT, it's technology, and that's it. So, or the department is handling this one. How can we, handle this data literacy issue, which is, since we are really to move in data, we need to really utilize the data. it means everybody should be equipped. What is data? What is AI? What is the actionable insights and so on? So how can we handle this, Sudarshan, from your point of view?
See, I think the previous two speakers have touched upon it in different ways, but my view of this is slightly different. Given that I spent a bulk of my career on the other side, fighting with the analytics people more often than actually being a part of the analytics team, simply because I was running a sales organization, it was always my data versus somebody else's data. Because as a frontline person, I was more exposed to information on the ground. So for data literacy, one of the biggest things that I have used as a tool and I have seen working very well is when the organization standardizes the way of measurement of an individual's performance with the organization or the enterprise level data. That's when there is uniformity in the way in which a number is looked at across the board, whether it is sales, operations, business, marketing, advertising, whichever department you may look at, everybody then syncs from the same sheet. And for that to happen, first and foremost, the senior most management of the organization should accept a standardized form of data. And that should be considered sacrosanct. And that's what is going to percolate all the way down into the organization. But that's not enough. That's just step number one. Step number two is to ensure that all the sources which bring in information are also recording all these vital parameters. Because many a number of times what I've realized is the senior management wants to look at certain data for taking decisions. However, they do not really understand where is this data coming from and how much can it be contaminated and how much filtering is required for it to be delivered to them in the right format. And this filtering process, which is where all the technology sits, is where there is a disconnect that starts developing between the actual generators of data and the users of data. And this is where invariably you will have conflict. As the previous session's last question was around the same thing, that the analytics person has a discussion with the marketing folks after this call, and there is going to be a fight. And this is something which we see invariably happening regularly, because we in the analytics side look at it from a pure technology perspective and then therefore go out and say, this is it, this is the analysis, this is the way it should be worked. So literacy starts from the top, like quality. However, it needs to be percolated down to the last resource, and they need to understand that this is going to tangibly impact their lives, which means that their performance, their rewards, everything comes out of the same data. This is the only tool which will ensure that enterprise-wide, you're looking at the same information in the same manner and analyzing it in the same fashion. And if the technology piece, therefore, can overlay on top of this to ensure that all the information required is available, which is then coming down to dashboarding culture, which is then coming down to the fact that all discussions, all decisions are driven by the same data, whether it is seen in Saudi or in Dubai or in Tanzania or wherever else. See, we operate across 140 countries, and this is a problem that we come across. Somebody from somewhere will say, my data is saying something else. There is no my data or your data. It is the enterprise's data, and therefore it has to say the same thing. So this happens only when there is a clear template established, and all discussions, all decisions come out of the same template and the same decision-making tool. So to me, data literacy is all about ensuring that we agree on a certain set of parameters. We then disseminate that to the entire organization and get the buy-in from all of them, simply because if there is no buy-in, then there will be manipulation, there will be interpretation risks, etc., etc. So this buy-in is the most critical part, and for the buy-in comes the risk and the reward component. So this is the way I think data literacy can be tackled at a very broad level. Hope that answers your question.
No, this is great. Thanks a lot. You added most of the dimension to this. So it means like the unification or even standardization of our dictionary, our data, our everything across the organization has to be set first. So if we talk about profit and loss in any item in any of the organization, it's known how this is being calculated. It's one way everybody agree, and the data, it's known, so everybody has the same language, speak the same language, and even the same set of data should be only one. So it's the moment of truth here should be one, to make sure that everybody is speaking one language here first, which is, I think this is I really appreciate very much. Before jumping into technology, data scientists, and doing things nobody agree upon, and said, no, this is not my data, this is, I know I can run it differently, and so on. This kind of agreement, you need to bring it first, from the top. And then you can then move into the technology and the people and other, areas which we think, we have to go for.
Very true. Very true.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. This will bring me to something which is like, this is taking us to something which is data governance. I'll talk to Alex here now. Maybe we can. Data governance, data quality. You talk about data now. Even as we said, like the data, people, technology, and data. But if we have this word, then IT said garbage in, garbage out. If your data is not right, if the data quality is not good, then you wouldn't get really any. Like even the history, if you don't get the right historical data, then you have an issue. Data governance here, what this was talking about as well, it's a governance. The data catalog, all the definitions, the dictionary, all of these bring us to a very, very important part, really, data stewardship as well, which is about the data quality, data governance, and data quality. How can we handle this from your point of view, Alex?
Yeah, hi, Seth. So yeah, thank you everyone for your input so far. Let me start by saying, in order to really, we're talking about actionable insights here, really, in order to be able to generate any meaningful, actionable insights, I think what's really important is to have that really strong foundation in the very first place. And a good data governance strategy can ensure that good data quality, consistency over time, and also just protect one of our most valuable assets, right? So this is not a one-time job, and there's really a lot that needs to be done here. So if we just consider the entire journey to generate actionable insights, really data governance, data quality play a vital role from start to end and across multiple teams, as already been addressed earlier. So we're talking about, data acquisition all the way to data transformation, to data analysis, to data visualization, to the generation of actionable insights in the end. The quality of each step is very important. It starts with maybe the data acquisition itself, but it continues throughout the entire journey and needs to be addressed at every step. I mean, we have bad quality that is often a result of poor preparation on the first step, which could come from wrong system setups, the use of multiple incompatible systems, or process flaws, or very often as well just manual human interaction that is a problem as well. And just without good data from the source and the right business logic implementation at the transformation stage, or using the right data, the right logic in your analysis, your visualization, your action plan can be misleading and point you in the wrong direction in the end. So like you just mentioned earlier, Mohammed, garbage in, garbage out. And I think we all know what this is like, and we've all faced similar issues, right? The question is then here, how do we address this, for example? How important is it even to address those issues and fix them? Because I think what's important to ask is it going to have a meaningful enough impact to assign valuable resources that we have to fix past issues? And I think there's no straight answer for this, because it really depends. I mean, do we want to have 100% perfect data quality, to have full certainty? In an ideal world, I would say yes, but we don't live in an ideal world. There will always be issues, we don't live in that ideal world, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here talking to each other over a screen at the same time, right? So in our organization at Zira, data quality, data governance play a very important role. And we have various ongoing projects and activities when it comes to this, to make sure that we use the right data in the right way, going from ensuring that we follow the rules and regulations, keyword GDPR, for example, conducting regular in-depth data audits of our databases and the underlying sources that feed them. And we're looking at those key factors like the completeness, validity, accuracy, consistency, integrity, and uniqueness. And it's important to measure those factors over time to ensure that we can improve on those factors at the same time. And when it comes to addressing data quality issues, I think what's important though is to identify the issues and the gaps. It could be at different stages, right? In the process, in systems, in the tracking setup, in legacy systems that were used before historical data. But what's important is to identify those gaps, prioritize them by their impact and their urgency, and understand if they can be fixed or not. You know, sometimes you have historical data that you just cannot fix anymore. But in these cases, if something goes wrong or is still going wrong, how can we address those issues? And how can we make sure that they don't happen in the future anymore, right? This is very critical. I think it's okay for data not to be perfect, and we all work with imperfect data all the time, I'm pretty sure. But it's also important to have a parallel work stream on data governance to ensure that we have meaningful data that we can trust at all times. And I mean, in earlier days, many of our business analysts, and still do at the moment, spend a lot of time, or did spend a lot of time trying to fix issues related to data quality. There was probably also a lack of coordination, transparency between the different teams that are working in silos, right? Because there's so many different teams that are getting involved. But also with a dedicated team in charge of data governance and data quality, you can address these issues, build trust. And not only for the data analysts that then use it to build their own analysis and then generate the insights, but ultimately for all consumers of data and insights across the entire organization, especially when we talk about a data-driven organization, right? What's important is that with an improved data governance, everyone can focus more on what actually really matters. Which is by spending just more time on creating value, scale the production of actionable insights by looking at the bigger picture really, and derive actions based on data that everyone trusts and everyone agrees on, what Sudarshan was mentioning earlier as well, right? That is very, very critical. And it's not only enough to have, I think, those processes in place. I think what's important is also to be fully transparent with our stakeholders and communicate and educate them about what's happening to build this trust in those insights that we generate, right? So, I mean, here I'm going to touch a little bit about the data literacy topic that was mentioned earlier. I mean, how do we do this from our end? We have launched at Sierra, we've launched a program, we named it DNA, which is in the context of making data and analytics an integral part really of the company's DNA to increase data awareness, to increase data literacy, engagement, and trust in order to drive data-driven decision-making across the entire group. So we've launched a couple of months ago, we've launched a data academy where we first start with the basics. It's a data academy for everyone across the entire group that can join this data academy to learn more about data. With multiple modules, and we first start with an introductory module that addresses the why. Why do we need data? And we continue to get everyone on board by communicating, you know, who we are, what we do, where's the data coming from, and what we do with it, from capturing the data all the way to the generation of actionable insights, to really so that people understand the entire process and they can trust the data because they know what's happening along the way. And then it's also maybe easier, and they have more trust in the actions that they take based on the recommendations that we can provide in the end. And besides clearly communicating those regular activities that take place, you know, like acquisition, the cleansing of the data, the validation, the enrichment, and all of that, we also explain in detail how important it is to have a group-wide, centralized understanding of the data, the terminologies, the KPIs, like, you know, having a data dictionary, business glossary that is accessible for everyone on shared platforms, to communicate this as well, that to have a data catalog in place that we know what we have and how we use it.
Alex.
Yeah. Sorry?
I can hear you now. Sorry, it was cut. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, basically is also to understand, to really educate everyone across the organization, give them an understanding of the data, of key regulations by developing, you know, a framework for GDPR compliance, have regular data audits of our tables and outputs, and measure that as well. That's really important. And in summary, data governance and data quality for us is playing a major role and will continue to do so. And it's just crucial to have these mechanisms in place to ensure a very strong foundation to increase the value and the trust of the actionable insights that we generate ultimately. That everyone is really on the same page, trusting the data and taking actions because they trust it. Yeah, that would be all.
Okay, thanks a lot. Great insights. I really appreciate it very, very much. I think this even many points the previous panelists also talk about. Thanks a lot. Very much appreciated. Oliver, going to Oliver now. Maybe you can add something on the data governance as well. You know, it's very important to talk about real-time decisioning. You know, because I think most of what's happening is that people take a decision based on historical data and previous day, previous month, previous week, whatever. I think there is a need today to have a real-time decisioning, not only based on historical data or yesterday's data. You know, the change is happening really very dynamic today, and sometimes you need to do a real-time decisioning. How can you, how is SES doing here? You know, like you have lots of clients, big clients. We have seen a very case study today with NetBank, and how can we achieve this one from an infrastructure, operation, production point of view?
Yes, thank you, Mohammed. Do you want me to answer that question first, or to add to the data governance question as well, or both?
Maybe whatever you like.
All right,
the best way you can.
Look, very briefly, because I'm conscious of time as well. We only have limited time.
Yes.
I think Alexander really kind of nailed it and covered really the whole spectrum of what data governance is about and why it's important. And it's a topic that is very close to my heart because this is the world I'm coming from. I think it's very important for a number of reasons to provide easy access to the data sets that people need to create that insight, whether it's real-time decisioning or for reporting purposes, but also to streamline the data provisioning processes that underpin analytics and ensuring that the insight created by analytics is based on accurate and fit for purpose data. And there was something I really liked about Alex's points that he made was, nobody's doing data quality for the sake of it. And there is no point trying to achieve 100% accuracy or completeness or anything about data quality metrics, because what's important is to understand to what extent does it impact the business, and what value does it have. So increasing data quality of, let's say, a percentage of 1, does it really bring value to your organization? So there is a balance to find between the effort that you put into data governance and data quality and the value that it brings to your organization. And then Alex pointed also on the needs for data quality and data governance for compliance with regulations like the GDPR. But I think the point I wanted to make is beyond data governance, we need to talk about AI and analytics governance, because data is the foundation of this, and you can't make the economy of just ignoring this, like hoping for this to, for the problem to go away by itself. But it's just part of the story, and there are many use cases today that are enabled by those technologies that are raising questions about the ethical implications of using those technologies, and I'm sure everybody is very familiar with the issues of algorithmic bias, for example. So what analytics governance provide, and I touched on this in my presentation, so I will be very brief, is transparency, right? About what models you have in production, how well they perform, what models are in the pipe, where are the bottlenecks, and being able to have this transparency to prioritize efforts. And then it provides traceability of what decisions are being made, using what models, using what data, and with what results. And then finally, back to the ethical implications, explainability and fairness. Do you know on what ground have specific decisions been made or specific predictions been made? And can you monitor and correct algorithmic bias? So this is why I think analytics and AI governance is very important. How you do it, I think there are two aspects. The first one is you need a platform approach, because today you have so many technologies out there, and we all have to kind of make sense of how those things fit together. So you have a platform, you need a platform approach to orchestrate those various technologies and make sure that you can create an insight that is useful for your business, striking the balance between choice and control, because you want to give the choice to your teams to use all the technologies they want. You want to enable them to be creative and explore data and use cases. But at the same time, you can't just let them, go into this rabbit hole of never-ending experimentation, right? So you need to get them out of the lab and into the real world to provide a governed environment where they can use their tools and their technologies that they like, but in a way that is controlled. And the second thing that is very important for analytics governance is the organizational alignment. And again, that's one of the recommendations I made earlier. You need a center of gravity for your analytics so that you can enable your analytics team to be productive. You can enforce compliance with internal policies and best practices. You can foster collaboration across teams and reuse of analytical assets, and make sure people don't reinvent the wheel all the time. So that's for governance. Now, in terms of driving real-time decisioning, that's a key point you're asking about, Mohammed. And I'd like to maybe mention what Jamil said about the human role in decision-making. I think, Jamil, what you said was, the machine or the algorithm will help to inform a decision, but at the end, it's a human who is making the decision. I think it's not always true, because you've got a lot of automated decisions being made by algorithms today. And it's not science fiction, it's happening every day. When you ask for a loan on the bank's website, there was nobody at the end of the line actually looking at the data. It's an automated decision. In some cases, the algorithm can't conclude on what decision to make, and it's referred to a human. But where I really agree with what Jamil said is, you need that oversight. So even if you have real-time automated decisions made by algorithms, you need to be able to monitor what kind of decisions are being made, on what grounds, with what results, and being able to intervene. So you need to be able to trust humans to step in when the algorithms find its limitations. Both the machines and the humans have their own strengths. So we have to combine the two to make sure that they can work together in harmony. How do you scale analytics and to enable real-time decisioning? I mentioned two things, and then I'll let you carry on with the next question. The first one is democratization of analytics. You need to bring, and maybe that's back to the data literacy point, you need to bring analytics to the masses, to the people in the organization. You can't just rely on a few data scientists. So you have to enable citizen data scientists with point-and-click user interfaces, providing easy access to data exploration and advanced analytics capabilities to those people who understand statistics and machine learning, but don't necessarily have the time, skills, and appetite to code using SAS or some other open source tools. Second thing you need is ModelOps. And ModelOps is very important, and that was the topic of my presentation. And ModelOps is important because it provides a centralized management of all your models across the organization, regardless of what technologies has been used, and making sure that you can monitor the life cycle of the models regardless of the underlying technology. ModelOps, because it helps streamline the analytic lifecycle with automated processes to deploy machine learning pipelines and orchestrate the collaboration between the different teams. And finally, because it provides the ability to proactively monitor models' performance in production to make sure that they can be retrained and retested automatically. I think that's what Abdullah was saying about a model is a living creature, right? So you can't just deploy it and leave it there on the shelf. It evolves because the market conditions change, the data change. So you have to make sure you keep that performance at a high level with proactive monitoring and retraining of your models. Sorry, I'm talking fast and a lot. So
no, that's great. Thanks a lot. I mean, this is great. What you have said. I think I'm very happy that the whole. I think we have now everybody, is having the same language almost, and stressing on what's important. Now, they need to ask you, before the closing here, now because of the time, what is the challenge you are facing, or your organization which you are dealing with, they face when they are trying to, to bring data into actionable insights? What are the common ones, and how can we, your advice, how can people, overcome these challenges?
Okay, and I'll try to fit that into 2 minutes. Common challenges, I'll mention only 3 of them. I could carry on for hours, but only 3. I think the first one we already spoke about. It's data quality and accessibility. It has always been and remained the most painful obstacle towards delivering actionable insight. We also discussed the role of data governance to address this challenge. But in addition of this data governance framework, I think organizations should also look at providing self-service data access and data exploration capabilities in a controlled environment, so you can avoid things like data duplication and make sure data analysts and data scientists know what data sets are available to them so that they can create this insight, and make sure that the data is only used by the people and for usages that are allowed for internal and external regulations. The second challenge is the excessive time and effort that goes into creating this insight between the moment a business problem and business opportunity is identified and the moment a model is fully deployed and operational in a production environment where it can make a difference to the business. So, we've seen with, fast moving market conditions and this uncertainty that we've seen with the COVID-19 crisis, organizations need the agility to deploy new models in production quickly, to identify when the performance of a model decay and to quickly take action to replace or retrain the model as needed. And finally, I want to mention a common misconception, which is also reflected in the title of this session, by the way, and the misconception that insight is the end game. But I think everybody will agree in the group here, from what I heard, that it is not. It's just part of the process. Because with insight, you need to inform a decision, which is generally done through a combination of analytical predictions, so the result of the algorithm, but also some business rules, and also the human experience that algorithm can't replace, right? So it's this combination of different things that can drive a decision to impact the business. With the decision, then you need to deliver value. And the other thing that we always forget about, not always, but too often forget about, is you need to monitor the value that those decisions are bringing to the business. You need to close the loop with analytics so that you make sure that the predictive analytical models keep performing at their best and for the greater good of the business. So yeah, that's what I had at the moment.
Thanks a lot. I think that's like, the message is clear. Turning data into actionable insights, analytics is a journey, it's not a destination. So this is a journey, like you're having it, and then other things you have to do. And this is revolving all the time. You have to make sure that you are on top of it, and people are really essential element of this process, and it's great. And the governance as well, as we discussed overall, the whole organization. I think we meet the time, almost over in time, maybe 1 minute more. And thank you all. It's really a great insights and discussions, and I think a great day to see all this really great presentation from everybody. I think this banner will add a lot to the conference and to people which is with us, hopefully, inshallah, listening to us. Thanks a lot.